And it's time for another Nostril Zone comic book review.
Yeah, books.
Today we're reviewing Ulysses by Homer, obviously. Loeb and Pichard, published by Heavy Metal in 2006. This is a reprint of comics from 1974 and 1975. First off, Pichard's Zeus here is reminiscent of Angra's Jupiter and Thetis. I'm a mark for mythology. I'm a mark for classical painting. And so that really caught my attention. Loeb, Jacques Loeb, he's probably best known for his creation, Super Dupont. He's a parody of French nationalism, but also sort of Superman as well. And he's collaborated with Pichard before, including on Submerman, and I just love the artwork on this. It's sort of love this clean line and this panel layout. It's just so 1970s. I love it. Even the sounds. Pump, 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 pump. Great stuff. Pichard, he's mostly known as an erotic artist. Most of his art involves like buxom and scantily clad women, and very little of his stuff is available in English. This is probably the least erotic book that's available readily in English. But he's an incredible artist. You know, especially when I look at these background characters. This reminds me a bit of almost like a Jack Davis crowd scene. I could just look at it all day. And his comedic chops are great too. He's great for comedy. He's great for more serious subject matter. Mostly did erotic stuff, like a Story of O, 50 Shades of Grey would be like the watered down version of that. And folks, it's criminal. It's criminal that more of his work isn't available in English. Makes you want to learn French. So Ulysses, this is sort of like a reimagining of the Odyssey. And of course the Odyssey is the story of Ulysses, also known as Odysseus, on his journey home from the Trojan War. So the Trojan War takes 10 years. The return trip takes another 10 years. And this is the return trip. And this is like a sci-fi retelling of the story. So even though it's set in the Greek mythological time period, and it has all of that stuff from the human's perspective, the gods are explained as being these like aliens with super technology. And this is a very similar concept that was done by Gray Morrow in his book Edge of Chaos, where he sort of reimagines the Hercules myth and all of the gods as these super sci-fi alien people. So Zeus and all of these bored aliens, they basically decide to mess with Ulysses. You know, they've enjoyed the war, but now they don't want the entertainment to end. So they blow Ulysses into the
Forbidden Zone,
where he has to deal with all sorts of things. And our first god that sort of takes a swing at Ulysses is Poseidon, and I just love how he's depicted here as this frog man, scuba man type character with a mast and an anchor. It's so goofy, his little eyes there, but this is Poseidon, the god of the ocean. So his sort of strategy to cause some trouble for Ulysses is to stick the Cyclops on him. Folks, I really enjoy this depiction of the Cyclops here. He's like this Ray Harryhausen type, lumbering, almost like a stop motion Goliath character. But what's with his head? He's like is he a deep sea scuba diver? Is he a lighthouse? What's going on? And even in the next panel, you see him like eating in this like weird enormous faceplate that he opens up. It says the giant shovels enormous pieces of meat into the open chute fitted into his metal face. It's so bizarre. After they escape the Cyclops, they're off to Aeolia, where they meet Aeolus and his daughters. So he's known as like the keeper of the wind. So he's not really like a god, but he manages wind, all the wind in the world. And so they float around with the daughters of Aeolus, and they have a good time. You've got Homer down here who's blinded in the fight with the Cyclops, and so for the rest of it he's blind. Homer's traveling with him to document the Odyssey. After they leave that island, their next encounters with Circe. Circe's like a witch and a temptress. The gods don't want just to see Ulysses fall. They want some drama. So they send Hermes here, the messenger of the gods, to give him a drug that'll protect him from the effects of Circe. He's got this great, almost like a rocketeer outfit. Such an interesting take on Hermes with the wings on the helmet. As soon as Ulysses goes to meet Circe, this is where the acid kicks in. Everything becomes very psychedelic, and he ends up going on this trip. The panels start to look more like a psychedelic poster from Mouse Kelly Studios, more than a comic page. Then after this, it leads into a couple pages of the sirens, and I think this is probably the most famous scene from the Odyssey. Odysseus tied to the mast of the ship while the sirens are singing. I just want to end on this drawing of the sirens when you can kind of see them for what they are on this pile of skulls. And I just could look at this panel all day. They're so goofy, they're grotesque. It's just gorgeous drawing. I love it. What didn't I like about this comic? Well, I mean, for one, it doesn't end. It doesn't end at the right spot. It ends where it ends. And it would be nice to have like another book that completed the Odyssey. You know, we want to see Odysseus get home and slay all the suitors that are vying to take over his kingdom. He's the king of Ithaca, and he's sort of presumed dead on this journey. You know, you'd like to see the rest of the myth.
Honey, I'm home!
Well, look who the fates dragged in.
Oh, I'm sorry I was gone so long, but I'm gonna do something I haven't done for 20 years. Take out the trash!
I don't think it's been published even in French. I haven't seen any other pages, really. So that's a bummer. And I mean, Pichard is definitely dead. I'm not sure if Loeb is still alive. I think Pichard died in 2003. The translation's not great. I mean, it's okay, but a lot of the dialogue, the way it's written into the bubbles, sometimes it's not balanced. It looks like there's too much text, not enough bubble. Sometimes there's too much bubble, not enough text. But the most egregious error is on the spine of the book, where they misspelled Homer as Hemer. I mean, that's atrocious. That's a really bad spelling error. It's almost worse than if it was on the cover, because, you know, I only see this cover when I pull it off my bookshelf, and I see the spine. I see the spine every time I look at my books. So that's a bummer. Another bummer is, to a certain degree, the artwork. I mean, it's not that the artwork isn't good. In fact, the artwork is great. The artwork is excellent. But, you know, I'm coming into it, I'm thinking of Pichard, I'm thinking of something more like this. Very, very heavy, dense line work. Kind of a fill every space. And, you know, imagine my surprise when I open the book and I see this sort of wispy, economic style of drawing. This sort of light line, lots of space. But, you know, I got over that pretty quick. I'm going to say 3.5 nostrils. If it wasn't for the spine, it would have gotten 4 nostrils easy, maybe even 4.5. I really do enjoy Pichard, and most of my complaints are that it's not other works by Pichard. So that's pretty good. This has been another Nostril Zone comic review. Thank you.
Yeah, books.